Happy New Year, everyone. Locked on Blue Jackets has had some ups, some downs, just like the Blue Jackets. And I thought we would do a little 2022 year in review before jumping into some 2023 coverage. So we're going to do a bonus episode here on Locked on Blue Jackets.
Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets. Happy Sunday, Happy New Year. It is January 1st, and I thought we would do a little bit of a recap on 2022. Like I said, there were some ups, there were some downs. I don't know whether there was more ups than downs, but that's what we're going to talk about today on Locked on Blue Jackets. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you, today to bring you the story of 2022 for the Blue Jackets, but normally recaps, previews, prospect talk, highs, lows, yelling, ranting, all of the above and more about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone who made Locked on Blue Jackets their first listen of the day in all of 2022, or their first watch of the day. We increased listening numbers by something like 97% this year. So super, super excited for that. Super excited for the future, and super thankful for all of you. So let's jump into it. Like I said, lots of ups, lots of downs. Blue Jackets didn't do very well last season. They're not doing super well this season. They have had kind of a rough 2022 on the ice. Off the ice, it's been pretty good. So I guess let's start off with let's start chronologically. Let's start off with Kent Johnson had a big 2022. He was drafted by the Blue Jackets in 2021, and then just kind of just only gone up from there. In the year 2022, he was named to the World Juniors Championship, to the World Juniors tournament for Team Canada, which played, I think, 2 games and then got cancelled because everyone got COVID. He was named to the Olympics team for Canada. He was named to the World Championships and again to the second World Juniors, in which he won the gold medal after wearing a letter for them. So off the ice or away from the Blue Jackets, super, super accomplished. With the Blue Jackets, ended up making his NHL debut this year. Played really well. Has scored his first NHL goal in 2022. Is playing on the top line with Johnny Gaudreau. We're going to talk about him in just a second. But of all of the Blue Jackets, I think there are 2 guys that really stand out as having had really great years, and Kent Johnson is one of them. The guy is, of course, Johnny Gaudreau, who it was announced yesterday he had 2 assists for the Blue Jackets in their win over Chicago, which put him at 117 points in the year 2022, which is the 3rd most in the season and also the 3rd most of all time for any American player. Second only to second this year in terms of Americans to Matthew Tkachuk, who I believe had 121 points in the calendar year 2022, but a huge, huge year for Johnny Gaudreau just on the ice. Off the ice, obviously, that might be the biggest thing for the Blue Jackets in 2022 is Johnny Gaudreau. They signed him in free agency after kind of not really being in the conversation right up until suddenly they are the conversation. I remember whispers and then being like, nah, this is just everyone kind of doing due diligence because it's Johnny Gaudreau, in the same way that, everyone did their due diligence on Taylor Hall, for example. Or, I'm sure everyone did their due diligence on a player like Alex DeBrincat when he was traded, or Matthew Tkachuk when he was traded. So I was like, you know what? This is neat. It's probably not going to go anywhere. It sure went somewhere. Johnny Gaudreau has been phenomenal for the Blue Jackets. He's leading them in scoring. He's been their best player for basically the entire season and will continue to be. He's above a point per game for the Blue Jackets. I think, is outscoring second place by like 10, maybe 15 points. He's been phenomenal. And I think 2022 was a big year for him personally. It was a big year for the Blue Jackets in terms of Johnny Gaudreau. And so that's kind of those are the 2 big ones, for me anyway, for 2022's moments. it has to be those two guys. Ken Johnson's incredible year personally, and Johnny Gaudreau signing for the Blue Jackets, signing long term as well. 7 years he's here for. So we will be mentioning him in every end of year review until like 2029, which I'm super okay with. We're gonna go into a break for just a second, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some more big moments for the Blue Jackets in this year. But first, I want to tell you about a sponsor that I use literally every day. So I started taking AG1 because I wanted something that was going to be quick, easy, not complicated, helped me out in basically all of the areas that I need to, and that's what AG1 has done. They are a product supplement. You are absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, and it helps you start your day right. It supports gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, aging, just all of the things that you need to feel good about yourself and your daily routine. AG1 does it for you. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. There is no need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs for your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So, obviously, Ken Johnson and Johnny Gaudreau were the big names for the Blue Jackets in 2022, but there are a couple of other names that I wanted to bring up. The first one is Patrik Laine, who was supposed to be the guy for the Blue Jackets, has struggled a little bit. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup with health issues, with personal issues. He's currently out of the lineup with COVID, I believe, which sucks because since he came back from injury, he'd been doing really well. He missed most of the first half of the 2021-22 season, and then came back about January-ish with a vengeance, scored like 18 goals in 21 games or something, and then obviously there was the talk of, does he stay in Columbus? Does he sign a 1-year deal to get to UFA and then immediately bounce? Does he get traded for a haul at the deadline? Does he get traded at the draft for 1 million picks? None of those things happened. He ended up signing a 4-year contract late-ish in the summer, I feel like. It was post Johnny Gaudreau signing. So, post July-ish. Unfortunately, that did lead to the departure of Oliver Bjorkstrand, who's doing really well up in Seattle. We wish Oliver, the best, etc. But in the long term, if you have the chance to keep Patrik Laine, who I still believe is a 40-goal scorer in this league, you do it. And that was a big contract signing. I think it got overshadowed by, the Johnny Gaudreau of it all, which is extremely understandable, I think. But Laine, again, he's had his ups and downs this season, but he's scoring at like a 30-35 goal pace. And I'm super excited to have him back in the lineup and tearing it up in 2023. So he's another guy that I have kind of picked for the top 5-ish. We're going to try and do top 5 and see where we go from there. Another great moment that I want to talk about, and this is something that I'd completely forgotten about until I believe Sard Girl Hockey on Twitter pointed it out. Cole Sillinger was just the 4th 18-year-old to score a hat trick in the NHL in the last 30 years. And he did that against Vegas in March. First career hat trick. Like I said, only the 4th 18-year-old to do it. One of the other 3 was Patrik Laine. So, he's in pretty good company there. Like I said, he's had kind of a down season. I don't think that's entirely his fault. We've talked at length about the coaching decisions about Cole Sillinger. But I think for me, the way that he finished last season and his strong rookie season overall means that we have to include him in this. So he's number 4 on my moment of awesome things that happened to the Blue Jackets in the calendar year 2022, and that has to be kind of the emergence of Cole Sillinger. Technically, it was a little bit 2021 as well, but I'm counting it because it's been a rough last few months. So That's that. And I think number 5, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, is not about an active Blue Jacket at all. But it is maybe, when all is said and done, one of the greatest to ever wear the Blue Jackets jerseys. That's coming up in just 1 minute here on Locked On Blue Jackets. So number 5 on the countdown. It's not even a countdown. This is not like in order or anything. And this is just 5 moments or 5 players that I wanted to highlight as 2022 Blue Jackets of the year. And this one, like I said in the little teaser, it's not a guy who is currently a Blue Jacket. He is still in the organization, but earlier this year, the Blue Jackets retired Rick Nash's jersey number. They retired 61. No one is ever going to wear it for the Blue Jackets again. And I think that's rad. I think he kind of had a colorful-ish history with the Blue Jackets. I know he got booed when he left. Came back, and there was an incident with Sergei Bobrovsky where he kind of, I don't know, punched him in the throat. And so, there was a little bit there where he was kind of persona non grata for the Blue Jackets. But overall, Rick Nash, he came back to Columbus. He accepted a role in kind of scouting, player development, and from the looks of things, the way the Blue Jackets prospect are going, he's doing pretty well. They've retired his number. No one in the organization has anything bad to say about him. And for a team that doesn't have, the storied history of an original 6, or even a team that's been around since the 60s, Rick Nash feels like the first player on kind of the Mount Rushmore, I guess, of Blue Jackets. I don't know who the other 3 faces will be when all is said and done, but I feel like Rick Nash being the first guy there is a pretty good start. And I wanted to kind of finish off. Those are my 5 moments. I wanted to look at kind of some of you guys' top moments of 2022 for the Blue Jackets, or kind of moments that you experienced yourself. And I got some really great results. So I'm just going to pull those up because some of them were really, really great. And I said if they were really great, then I would read them out on the show. So that is what we are going to do in just a minute. Once I find the tweet. Here it is. So first off, again, Sad Girl Hockey, or Sad Girl Hours, excuse me. I keep messing that up. I do apologize. Cole Sillinger's hat trick against Vegas. Nick Blankenburg, just everything about him. To which I replied, yes, the unofficial subtitle of Locked On Blue Jackets is just everything about Nick Blankenburg. He's been a real revelation for this team. I didn't even get to mention him as the top 5, but definitely honorable mention is the way he came in, made his debut after going undrafted, playing 4 years at Michigan, and then immediately looking like a top pairing defenseman. So hopefully he is back soon. He is skating. I believe he's skating with the team. He's still a little ways off. I don't, I'm fine with them not rushing him back. That would it be nice to have him back? Sure, but Nick Blankenburg is not going to force this team into the playoffs. I mean, you never know. He might, but I would rather them take their time with him rehabbing so as, not to rush him back. Before he's ready, he re-injures the ankle, and then, that damages his career for the rest of his career. So yes, definitely Nick Blankenburg, highlight of the season. Ken Johnson finally getting his first goal. He looks amazing so far. And honestly, number 4 from Sad Girl Hours is watching the kids. This makes this season bearable. I completely agree. We talked about Sillinger, who admittedly has had a rough down swing this season, but still so excited about the future for him. You talk about Ken Johnson, you talk about Nick Blankenburg, some of the other guys that have kind of Kirill Marchenko, who came over to North America this season, Marcus Bjork, Tim Burney, kind of making their NHL debuts and looking like they've been here this whole time. The baby Blue Jackets have been a highlight of this season and a highlight of 2022 for me, and it makes me real excited for the future. And so I think that's the big thing for 2023 for me is continuing to watch these kids develop and continuing to watch them get better and better. And that's super exciting. Madigan O'Brien, super love Madigan. She's always responding to everything on the Twitter. She met a bunch of really cool fans and friends, and she got a birthday present from Jarmo Kekalainen, which is super awesome. And she added a bunch of pictures of her at games, hanging out with friends. The Blue Jackets won on her birthday for the first time in 8 years, which you love to see that. They did not do that on my birthday. So, it is not a given that the Blue Jackets will respect your birthday. So, you love to see that from from Madigan. She looks like she's had an awesome year. So shout out to you, Madigan, for being one of the most enthusiastic Blue Jackets fans that I've seen on Twitter. You rock. Thank you for supporting the Twitter. Thank you for supporting the podcast. I appreciate you. I hope that there is so many more awesome Blue Jackets moments in your future. Another fan, Hockey Fox DB, got tickets just a couple of rows off the glass, which again, awesome experience. You take the wins where you can get them, and sometimes having an incredible experience in one game is enough to make your year. When the Blue Jackets are doing their best to disappoint us, sometimes it's things like that. And finally, Morgan Bennett at Morgan Lee 917 on Twitter. Again, awesome at interacting. Always listens to the podcast. Super appreciate you, Morgan. A new fan this year, so welcome to the Blue Jackets. I wish I could say it's not always like this, but unfortunately, it kind of sometimes is. Nick Blankenberg's empty netter. Daniil Tarasov, I didn't even mention in the kids, has been a real breath of fresh air this season. Cole Sillinger's it ended up being offside, but that sweet spinorama goal in the first game of the season. All great moments. And also a personal one which made me laugh is parking next to one of the Blue Jackets' Porsche when they were doing conditioning at Chiller North while her kids had skating lessons. Just sometimes you just get to park next to an NHL player at a rink, and it's super cool. So shout out to Morgan. Shout out to Dan who interacted with his tweet. Shout out once again to Madigan. Shout out to Sardgirl, Hours. Just everyone who interacted with that tweet. You love to see it. And it's just super. It's super great to see so many people having positive experiences with the Blue Jackets this season and this year. Because, like I said, they've not been good this season. They weren't great at the end of last season or, at all last season. But it's the little moments. It's, the cool goals, the interactions with the players, the meeting your friends at the game, And so shout out to everyone who has had fun at a Blue Jackets game in this year. Shout out to the Blue Jackets for sometimes making it fun to be a fan. And shout out to 2023 for hopefully being way better for the Blue Jackets as a team, for us as fans, for me as someone who covers this team. And yeah, I'm super excited about 2023. I think it's going to be rad. I'm excited for the players. I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for the draft, especially. It's all looking super rad. And I think that's all I've got for you today. Tomorrow, we are going to be looking at the good things from the Chicago game. We're going to be previewing the game against the Senators on Tuesday and having some fun with it. We might even do a mailbag. Who knows? But thank you again for everyone who listened to the show in 2022, for everyone who watched the show in 2022. We made it onto YouTube this year, which was terrifying, but you guys have made it worth it by being so positive and enthusiastic and interacting with tweets and videos and commenting and liking and subscribing and downloading and everything. Like, you guys make it fun to do this. And I appreciate all of you. So that's my final shout out, I think, is not to the Blue Jackets. It's not anything to do with the Blue Jackets. It is to do with you guys for making this fun for me to do. Daily podcasting is tough. It is a grind. It is rough sometimes, especially when the team is not good. But the interaction I get from you guys and the support I get from you guys does make it all worth it. So my final shout out to honorable mentions for 2022 has been all of you guys. And I can't wait to see you guys again in 2023. And maybe I'll be in Columbus sometime in 2023. And maybe you will see me there. And yeah, thank you once again for making this your first listen of the day. Locked on Blue Jackets is going to continue to be available in 2023, free and available on YouTube, on every podcasting app of choice. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster. I'm not going anywhere. The podcast Twitter isn't going anywhere unless we are forced to do so by Elon Musk. That is LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms as we go into 2023, then you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, Happy New Year once again, and make sure you stay locked on.